How to live with confidence without flaunting. Unveiling the power behind the 3 do notas of conduct. Have you ever wondered why some people radiate self-assurance without ever shouting about it? Could the secret lie in embracing a set of humble yet unshakable principles? Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll explore how genuine confidence thrives in silence, grounded in 3 simple do notas that shape the character of those who walk through life with quiet strength. We'll journey through timeless philosophy, modern psychology, and real-world examples to reveal how restraint, composure, and intentional inaction become the pillars of effortless charisma. True confidence isn't built on loud declarations or relentless self-promotion. Instead, it grows in the space between words and actions, anchored by choices to refrain from 4-letter boasts, rash criticisms, and needless comparisons. When we choose not to brag, not to belittle others, and not to chase external validation, we free ourselves from the hamster wheel of approval and step into a steadier, more authentic self-assurance. Consider the story of Daniel, a software architect known in his company not for flashy presentations or headline-grabbing claims, but for the quiet mastery he displayed behind the scenes. Rather than interrupt meetings to showcase his knowledge, he listened intently, asked insightful questions, and only spoke when his contributions could move the project forward. Over time, colleagues came to trust his judgments implicitly. When Daniel finally unveiled a critical system redesign, there was no doubt of its brilliance. It stood on the foundation of his consistent humility, not on any single moment of self-praise. Modern research on charisma confirms this paradox. People who speak less and listen more are often perceived as more competent and trustworthy. Psychologist Amy Cuddy's studies on power and presence show that authentic stillness, holding one's ground, observing rather than dominating, signals inner stability, which other people instinctively respect. In contrast, overly demonstrative behavior can trigger skepticism, as observers sense the performance and question its sincerity. Let's unveil the 3 do notas that underpin this quiet confidence. First, do not boast. Boasting shifts focus from substance to self, fracturing the listener's trust. Instead of highlighting your achievements, let your work speak. If you have solved a tough problem, describe the challenge and the outcome, without drawing attention to your role. Others will sense your capability without feeling spoken down to. Second, do not belittle. When we criticize others to elevate ourselves, we undermine both parties. True confidence builds up rather than tears down. In conversations, replace comparison with curiosity. Ask about colleagues' approaches, acknowledge their strengths, and celebrate their successes. This generous mindset attracts goodwill and fosters collaboration. Third, do not chase validation. Seeking constant external approval drains energy and breeds insecurity. Instead, cultivate an internal barometer, set personal standards for effort and integrity, then measure yourself against those values. When setbacks occur, focus on lessons learned rather than likes received. Over time, this practice fortifies self-esteem from within. In everyday life, these principles yield transformative effects. Imagine entering a room and greeting everyone with calm composure instead of a grand entrance. Your presence becomes magnetic precisely because it isn't loud. Or consider handling praise with grace. When someone compliments your work, you simply smile, express gratitude, and redirect attention to the team effort. This modest response not only deepens relationships, but also cements your reputation as a collaborative leader. Historical figures embody these do notas. Mahatma Gandhi wielded immense moral authority without ever flaunting it. His strength came from unwavering commitment to non-violence and self-discipline. When newspapers lauded his achievements, he always credited ordinary volunteers, Nelson Mandela returned from decades in prison with remarkable restraint, choosing reconciliation over retribution, demonstrating that power need not clamor to be felt. To integrate these behaviors, start each morning with a moment of mindful intention. Visualize situations where pride, judgment, or approval-seeking might arise, and mentally rehearse your response of humility, compassion, and self-trust. Carry a discreet token in your pocket, a smooth pebble or a simple ring, as a touchstone to remind you of your commitment to these do-nots throughout the day. As you practice, you'll notice that your inner dialogue shifts. "I don't need to prove myself today," replaces "I hope they notice me," and "what can I learn from this person?" replaces "how can I outshine them?" Over weeks and months, this subtle shift rewire as your social interactions. I bring you with a presence that others describe as both soothing and inspiring. Remember, confidence born of silence is not empty or passive. It requires courage to hold back words, strength to resist ego's call, and trust in the value of your genuine self. With each hesitation before a boast, each moment of withholding judgment, and each pause before seeking a thumbs up, you plant seeds of lasting self-assurance. As you deepen these practices, you'll find that your interactions take on a new dimension of authenticity. When receiving feedback, whether in person or through digital channels, you'll notice the impulse to defend yourself softening into genuine curiosity. Instead of crafting elaborate responses to justify your actions, you'll pause to absorb the intent behind the words. This brief stillness allows you to respond with clarity, acknowledging valid points and asking constructive questions. Colleagues and friends will sense your openness, and the dialogue shifts from defensive posturing to collaborative problem-solving. In high-stakes negotiations, the silent approach can be equally transformative. Imagine two leaders locked in a tense discussion over project scope. One flashes data-heavy slides and insists on rapid concessions. The other listens intently, asking measured questions that draw out hidden priorities. While the first leader races to dominate, the second guides the conversation with quiet composure, ultimately shaping a win-win outcome. This dynamic isn't about playing games, it's about recognizing that silence can act as a mirror, reflecting both sides' concerns until a shared understanding emerges. Even the digital world benefits from the power of restraint. On social media platforms where outrage often garners the loudest applause, choosing not to engage in every controversy preserves your credibility. When controversial posts arise, instead of crafting immediate rebuttals, the confident individual observes the broader pattern. What underlying values are at stake? Is this a conversation worth joining? By intervening selectively and always from a place of informed calm, you establish yourself as a thoughtful voice rather than another echo in the chorus of noise. This ethos extends inward as well. Journaling your internal monologue each evening without filtering or censoring reveals the moments when you sought external validation or slipped into self-critique. As these patterns emerge on the page, you gain the self-awareness needed to interrupt them in real time. You begin to catch yourself mid-thought. Am I doing this to impress, or does it truly matter to me? That question, asked even once, can reroute your behavior from ego-driven performance toward purpose-driven presence. Consider the example of Maria, a marketing executive whose team thrived on trending tactics and viral campaigns. At first, she felt uneasy resisting every fleeting trend, fearing her brand would lose relevance. Instead of chasing every hashtag, she and her team focused on the brand's core story, sharing genuine user experiences and lessons learned. Their engagement rate steadily climbed, not because they shouted louder, but because their content resonated with sincerity. Clients began describing the brand as refreshingly real, and long-term loyalty replaced the ephemeral buzz of one-off hits. Cultivating quiet confidence also shapes leadership succession. Mentor figures who model a do notist attract mentees eager to learn the subtler arts of influence. By demonstrating that restraint can be a form of generosity, leaving space for others to shine, you create a legacy of empowered teams rather than dependent followers. Over time, this mentorship culture proliferates, and the organization's collective presence grows in integrity and impact. In every context, personal, professional, or communal, the invitation remains the same. Choose the unspoken path of humility. Let your character unfold in measured actions, and trust that genuine authority needs no amplifiers. As you practice holding back the easy boast, the quick port down, and the desperate plea for approval, you'll discover that each moment of restraint strengthens your inner foundation, allowing your true confidence to rise naturally and command respect without ever demanding it.